My boyfriend and I were together for 3 years. Last month he flew to Sweden for his sister's wedding. Every night he FaceTimed me from his hotel room, saying he missed me, couldn't wait to return, already planning our anniversary getaway trip. Can you imagine thinking you're in a rock-solid 3-year relationship, planning your whole future, only to discover your boyfriend was living a double life on another continent, telling everyone you were his crazy ex, and cheating on you left and right? What the hell would you even do? Because that's exactly what happened to me. My boyfriend, Stefan, was supposed to be in Sweden for his sister's wedding for 2 weeks. And for every single night of those 2 weeks he FaceTimed me. From his hotel room, he said. He told me how much he missed me, how he couldn't wait to get home. He was even looking at places for our 3-year anniversary trip. We were talking about moving in together officially, about maybe getting a dog, all the stuff you talk about when you think your relationship is completely solid. Then, around 11 p.m. one night, his cousin Belinda texted me. Belinda lives in Sweden. We'd only met maybe 3 times total, like when she visited Stefan here in Philly once. We went to dinner, she seemed nice enough. We follow each other on Instagram but we never really talk. So when I saw her name pop up on my phone, I figured it was some meme she was forwarding. It was not a meme. Her message, and I'm paraphrasing because I truly never want to read it again, said something like, "Why is your man grinding on my best friend?" And then she dropped a link to a TikTok account, Carl's TikTok. Carl is Stefan's younger brother. He's 22 and like most 22-year-olds he documents literally everything he does. I clicked the link thinking, okay, this has to be a joke, a misunderstanding. Maybe Stefan got drunk at the wedding reception and did something goofy that looks bad out of context. But when I clicked, there were dozens of videos from the past 2 weeks. I sat there on my couch for probably 45 minutes, just scrolling through Carl's account with my hand clamped over my mouth. There was Stefan making out with some girl at a club. Stefan taking body shots off a blonde in a bikini at what looked like a pool party. Stefan with his arms around 2 different women at a bar, doing that charming laughing thing, touching their waists. The comments on these videos were wild. People asking Carl who these girls were, and Carl replying with their names and tagged accounts. Someone even commented that Stefan was living his best single life. And Carl replied with a bunch of laughing emojis, saying something about his brother, making up for lost time. Making up for lost time? My stomach dropped. I immediately DM'd Carl on Instagram. I didn't even have his number. I wrote something like, "What the hell is going on? Why is Stefan acting single in all these videos? I'm literally his girlfriend." Then I waited. It was like 2 a.m. in Sweden at that point, so I didn't expect an immediate response. But he actually replied within 20 minutes. And what he said made me want to throw my phone across the room. He goes, "Girlfriend? He told everyone you guys broke up 4 months ago. Said you couldn't handle the distance or something." The distance? What distance? I asked Carl what he meant. He said Stefan told the whole family back in May that we split up. That I was too insecure and jealous, and he couldn't deal with it anymore. That I had been making his life miserable, and he finally ended things. He said everyone was happy for Stefan because apparently I was some kind of monster keeping him trapped in a relationship. I want to be very clear here. Stefan and I were together. Actively. Together. I have texts from him from 4 months ago telling me he loves me. I have photos of us at his mom's birthday in June where he introduced me as his girlfriend. I even have Venmo receipts from last week where I paid his car insurance because he said he was short on cash before the trip. I just sat there for I don't even know how long trying to process it. How was it possible that his entire family thought we broke up, while we were literally still dating? How was it possible that he FaceTimed me every single night from that trip telling me he missed me while apparently telling everyone there that I was his crazy ex? I had to call him. He answered on the 4th ring, sounding drunk. Just a casual, "Hey babe, what's up?" Like everything was normal. Like he wasn't on another continent pretending I didn't exist. I told him I saw the videos. Dead silence. You know that kind of silence? Where you can practically hear someone's brain scrambling to come up with a lie. Yeah, that's silence. Then he goes, "What videos? You're being paranoid again." Again. Seriously? Like this is some pattern of behavior from me? Like I'm the one who's been irrational in our relationship? And here's the thing. I have never been the jealous type. I've never gone through his phone, never accused him of anything. Never had any reason to. 3 years and I trusted him completely. So where was this coming from? I told him I saw Carl's TikTok. I told him I saw everything. The clubs, the girls, the body shots. All of it. And I told him I knew what he'd told his family about us breaking up. More silence. Then I heard it. A girl's voice in the background. Kind of whiny and giggly, saying something like, "Come back to me." Or, "Come back to bed." He goes, "Oh shit." And then, "Look, I can explain." And he hung up. He hung up on me. I tried calling back like 6 times. Straight to voicemail every single time. I texted him probably 20 messages that night. Everything from, "What the hell is wrong with you?" to "Please just talk to me," to "You owe me an explanation." Nothing. By the time the sun came up, I'd maybe gotten 2 hours of sleep. And I was just sitting on my kitchen floor, alternating between crying and being so angry I couldn't see straight. 3 years. 3 years. We had talked about marriage. We had talked about kids. I thought I knew this person. And apparently I didn't know him at all. My friend Connie came over around noon. I texted her at like 4 a.m. and she got worried. She sat with me while I showed her everything. The TikTok videos, Carl's messages, all of it. She was just as confused as I was. She kept saying, "This doesn't make sense. Why would he do this? What was his plan here?" Because truly, what was his plan? Was he just going to come back from Sweden and pretend nothing happened? Was he going to keep living this double life forever? How do you tell your family you're single while also actively dating someone and paying their share of rent with their money? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that part. I had been paying half his rent for the past 3 months because he said his hours got cut at work and he was struggling. I paid his car insurance. I bought his plane ticket to Sweden because he said he couldn't afford it. That was supposed to be an early birthday present, but I also just wanted to support him because that's what you do when you love someone. I probably gave him close to $4,000 over the past few months. Connie was livid when I told her that. She started doing that thing where she's so mad she can't sit still, just pacing around my apartment saying, "This is insane. This guy is a sociopath. You need to get your money back." But honestly, at that point, the money wasn't even what I was thinking about. I just wanted to understand why. I went back through our old texts trying to find any sign I had missed. Any moment where things shifted or where he started pulling away. But there was nothing. Everything looked completely normal. He was still texting me good morning every day. Still sending me stupid TikTok memes. Still making plans with me. Still telling me he loved me before bed every night. Even from Sweden, he was doing all of this, while apparently living a completely different life. I ended up messaging Belinda back. I thanked her for telling me and asked if she knew anything else. She said she was sorry, that she had no idea we were still together until she saw the video of Stefan with her friend Jada and realized something was wrong. She said Stefan had been telling everyone at the wedding that he was finally free and ready to date again. That he'd been single since spring and was excited to meet new people. She said the whole family was encouraging him to have fun and live his life. Apparently, Stefan's mom, who I have met multiple times, who I have had dinner with, who told me to my face that she was so happy Stefan found someone like me, had been telling people at the wedding that she was relieved I was out of the picture. That she never liked me but didn't want to say anything. That she thought I was controlling and bad for Stefan. This woman hugged me at Easter. She asked me for my grandmother's pie recipe. She texted me happy birthday in July. And apparently she's been secretly hating me this whole time while Stefan was feeding her lies about who I am. I asked Belinda when Stefan was coming back. She said his flight was Wednesday, 3 days from when we were talking. I thanked her again and she said she was sorry this was happening, that she always thought Stefan was a good guy, but clearly she was wrong about that. Wednesday. He was coming back Wednesday, which meant I had 3 days to figure out what I was going to do. Connie wanted me to change the locks, pack all his stuff up, and leave it on the street. But here's the thing. Most of his stuff is actually at his apartment. He never officially moved in with me. We just spent most nights together at my place because it's nicer. But his apartment still exists and that's where his important things are. At my place he had some clothes, his PlayStation, some random bathroom stuff, a few books. Nothing that would really hurt him to lose. I thought about confronting him at the airport, but Connie talked me out of it. She said showing up there would just give him an audience to play the victim. To make me look like the crazy ex-girlfriend he's been telling everyone I am. She was probably right. So instead I did something else. I took all his stuff that was at my place and I packed it up. 6 big black trash bags full of his clothes, his games, his chargers, everything else he had accumulated at my apartment over 3 years. I put them by my front door and I waited. He still hadn't responded to any of my texts. His phone was either off or he had blocked me. I couldn't tell. Carl had stopped responding after I sent a few messages trying to get more information. I even tried calling Stefan's mom, but it went to voicemail and I didn't leave a message because what would I even say? Tuesday night I couldn't sleep at all. I just kept thinking about everything. Every time he told me he loved me, every time he talked about our future, every time he made me feel like I was the only person in the world who mattered to him. All of it was a lie. Or maybe not all of it, but enough of it. How long had he been doing this? Was it just the past 4 months or had there been other times? I started going back further in my memories. Times he said he was with friends and I never questioned it. Times he went on work trips that I now wondered if they were even real. Times he couldn't hang out because of family stuff. I had trusted him so completely that I never once asked for proof of anything. Never once thought to doubt him. And now I was sitting here wondering if my entire relationship had been fake. Wednesday morning, Connie came over again. She had taken the day off work to be with me, which honestly made me tear up because she didn't have to do that. She brought breakfast sandwiches and sat with me while I refreshed Stefan's flight status every 5 minutes. His flight was supposed to land at 2:47 p.m. I knew his friend Trent was picking him up from the airport because he had mentioned that before he left. So I figured he would probably be home at his apartment by 4 or 5 p.m. That's when I was going to go over there. Connie tried to talk me out of it. She said nothing good would come from confronting him, that I should just block him and move on, that he wasn't worth my energy. But I couldn't do that. I needed to look him in the face and hear him try to explain this. I needed to understand how someone could do this to another person. And honestly, I needed him to see that I wasn't just going to disappear quietly like he probably expected me to. Around 3 p.m., his flight status changed to landed. And then about an hour later I got a text from Stefan. Just his name on my screen made me want to throw my phone. I opened it and he had written this long paragraph about how he was sorry I found out that way, how he never meant to hurt me, how things have been complicated for him lately, and he didn't know how to handle it. He said he still cared about me and wanted to talk in person to explain everything. He asked if he could come over tonight. I stared at that message for probably 10 minutes. Connie was reading over my shoulder, making faces at everything he wrote. She was like, "Oh, now he wants to talk? After ignoring you for 3 days? After letting you find out from his cousin and his brother's TikTok? This guy has some nerve." She was right. But I also knew that if I said no, if I told him to stay away, I would never get any answers. So I told him, "Fine, come over at 7. And then I waited. At 6:55 p.m., there was a knock on my door. I opened it and there he was. Stefan. Looking exactly the same as always. Same stupid handsome face, same messy dark hair. Same brown eyes that I used to think were so warm and honest. He was even wearing the hoodie I gave him for Christmas last year. And he had flowers in his hand. Flowers. He tried to step inside and I blocked him. I told him he could stand right there in the hallway because he wasn't coming in. He looked confused, like he genuinely didn't understand why I would be acting this way. Like he expected me to just let him waltz back into my life after everything. He started talking, going on about how the videos weren't what they looked like, how he was just having fun with his family, how things got out of hand, and he made some mistakes. But it didn't mean anything. He said he never stopped loving me, that he had just been going through a hard time and didn't know how to communicate it. He said the stuff he told his family wasn't true, that he was just saying what they wanted to hear, that his mom had been pressuring him about our relationship, and it was easier to pretend we broke up than deal with her questions. I let him talk for probably 5 minutes without interrupting. Just stood there listening to excuse after excuse after excuse. And when he finally stopped, I asked him one question. If we were still together this whole time, why were you telling everyone I was your crazy ex who you couldn't wait to get away from? He just stood there, opening and closing his mouth like a fish. And that's when I pointed at the trash bags. There's your stuff. Get out of my building. He looked at the bags, then back at me, and he asked me if I was serious. He said I was overreacting. He said this was exactly what his mom was talking about, that I couldn't handle anything without making it into a huge drama. So now I'm the dramatic one? For being upset that my boyfriend spent 2 weeks cheating on me, while telling his entire family that I'm mentally unstable? That's rich. He tried to push past me into my apartment, and I shoved him back. Hard. Told him if he touched me again, I was calling the police. He backed off, but he was still standing there, still arguing, still trying to convince me that I was making a big deal out of nothing. That's when I told him about the money. I want my $4,000 back. The rent, the car insurance, the plane ticket I bought you. All of it. He started stuttering, saying he didn't have it, saying he would pay me back eventually, saying I couldn't just spring this on him right now when he just got back from an international flight. I told him I didn't care. I told him he could figure it out or I would. He grabbed the trash bags and left without saying another word. I closed my door, locked it, and then I sat down on my couch and stared at the wall for probably an hour. Connie came out of the bedroom asking what happened. I told her everything he said, every pathetic excuse, and I still didn't understand why. That was last Wednesday and I thought it was over. But it's not. Because yesterday Stefan's mom called me. First update. Okay, so a lot of you asked what Stefan's mom said when she called me. I've been trying to figure out how to even explain this conversation, because it was honestly one of the most bizarre experiences of my life. So it was yesterday afternoon. I was at my apartment trying to do normal human things like eat food and not think about my entire life falling apart. Connie had gone home the night before because she had work in the morning, but she was texting me constantly, checking in. I was just sitting there watching some show on Netflix that I wasn't even paying attention to when my phone rang. I looked at the screen and it said Nancy. That's Stefan's mom. I almost didn't pick up because honestly, what could this woman possibly have to say to me? She's been telling people at the wedding that she never liked me. She's been celebrating that her son supposedly broke up with me. But something in me just needed to hear what excuse she was going to try to make. So I answered. The first thing out of her mouth was not an apology. Not even close. She started going off about how I had embarrassed Stefan by making a scene when he came to my apartment. How I threw his belongings in trash bags like he was garbage. How I screamed at him in the hallway where all my neighbors could hear. She said I proved everything Stefan had been telling her about me, that I was unstable and dramatic and couldn't control my emotions. I let her talk for a good 2 minutes without saying anything. Just listening to this woman who barely knows me explain my own personality to me based on lies her son told her. And when she finally paused to take a breath, I asked her one simple question. Did Stefan tell you that I paid for his plane ticket to Sweden? Silence. I kept going. Did he tell you that I've been paying half his rent for 3 months? That I paid his car insurance last week? That I sent him money because he said he was struggling and I wanted to help the person I loved? More silence. Then she goes, well, that's between you two. I don't know anything about your financial arrangements. Financial arrangements? Like I'm some business partner. Like I didn't hand over $4,000 to her son while he was telling her that I was his crazy, controlling ex-girlfriend. I told Nancy exactly what happened. I told her about the FaceTime calls every night from Sweden where Stefan was telling me he missed me and loved me. I told her about the text he sent me just days before the trip talking about our anniversary. I told her that her son never broke up with me, that we were actively together the entire time he was lying to his family about our relationship. She didn't believe me at first. She kept saying, that doesn't make sense. Stefan wouldn't do that. You must be confused. So I told her to go look at her own son's text messages. Told her to ask him to show her his phone if he has nothing to hide. I told her about the Venmo transactions with timestamps, proving that I was sending him money while he was supposedly single and free. She said Stefan told her that yes, I was still sending him money, but it was because I was trying to buy my way back into his life, that I couldn't accept the breakup and kept offering to pay for things to maintain a connection to him. She said Stefan felt guilty taking the money, but he was struggling financially and didn't know how to tell me to stop without hurting my feelings. I literally laughed out loud. I couldn't help it. The audacity. This man takes my money while telling his mother that I was basically bribing him to stay in contact, that I was some desperate ex throwing cash at him because I couldn't let go. I asked Nancy if that's really what she believed, If she really thought I was so pathetic that I would pay someone's bills for 4 months just to have an excuse to talk to them. She got quiet, and I could tell she was actually thinking about it. Actually considering that maybe her precious son hadn't been completely honest. Then she asked me something that caught me off guard. She asked if I had any proof that Stefan and I were still together during those months. I told her I had hundreds of texts. I had photos. I had receipts and Venmo transactions. I had call logs showing that Stefan called me multiple times a day, every single day. I asked her if she wanted me to send her screenshots because I would be happy to. She said yes. So I spent the next 30 minutes going through my phone and compiling evidence. Texts from Stefan from June saying he loved me. Photos from his mom's birthday party where we're together and he has his arm around me. Screenshots of our Venmo history. Call logs showing a 45-minute call from his first night in Sweden. I sent Nancy everything. Then I waited. About an hour later, I got a text from Stefan. Not from Nancy, from Stefan. And he was furious. He said I had no right to involve his mother in our relationship. He said I was manipulating her by sending her all that stuff out of context. He said I was trying to turn his family against him because I couldn't accept that our relationship was over. I texted back asking him how any of that was out of context. How was a text from you saying you love me from 3 weeks ago out of context? How was a photo of us together at your mom's birthday party out of context? How was a receipt for me paying your bills out of context? He didn't answer that. Instead, he called me. I almost didn't pick up, but I figured if we were going to have this fight, we might as well have it for real. So I answered. Stefan started talking immediately, not even giving me a chance to say anything. Going on about how I was being vindictive and petty, how I was trying to destroy his relationship with his family because I was jealous that he was finally happy without me. He said the stuff in Sweden was just him having fun after a hard few months. He said he told his family we broke up because he was embarrassed about how things were between us and didn't want them asking questions. He said it wasn't about me specifically. It was about him needing space from the pressure of our relationship. I asked him what pressure. What was so pressuring about our relationship that he had to lie to everyone he knows? Because from where I was sitting, I paid his bills and loved him and supported everything he did. Was that the pressure? Me being a good girlfriend? Then he said something that actually hurt more than anything else. He said the pressure was that I was too much. That I was always there, always texting, always wanting to spend time together. Always making him feel guilty if he wanted to do anything without me. He said he felt suffocated and he didn't know how to tell me. So he just started telling other people that we weren't together anymore because it felt easier than having the conversation with me. I asked him if any of that was actually true, or if this was just another lie he was making up to justify what he did. Because I can count on one hand the number of times I asked Stefan to hang out when he had other plans. I never made him feel guilty for seeing his friends. I never complained when he wanted alone time. I literally gave him $4,000 because he said he needed help. How is any of that suffocating? He said, "See, this is exactly what I mean. You're making this into a bigger thing than it needs to be. You're overanalyzing everything I say. You're twisting my words around." He said. This is why he couldn't talk to me about how he was feeling, because I always made everything into an argument. And that's when I snapped. I told him to stop making himself the victim. I told him he doesn't get to cheat on me with multiple women, lie to his entire family about our relationship, take my money under false pretenses, and then act like I'm the problem because I'm upset about it. I told him he's been gaslighting me for months, and I'm done listening to it. He started trying to interrupt, but I kept going. I asked him how many other women there were. Not just in Sweden but over the past 3 years. How many times did he tell me he was with friends or at work when he was actually with someone else? How many other trips did he take where he was living a double life? 'Cause clearly he's been doing this for a while. Clearly, this wasn't just a spontaneous thing that happened at a wedding. He had a whole system in place. He told his family we broke up 4 months ago. That's not a spur-of-the-moment decision. That's planning. Stefan was silent for a long time. Then he said I was being paranoid and seeing things that weren't there. He said Sweden was the first time anything like this ever happened. He said he made a mistake and he was sorry, but I was blowing it way out of proportion. I asked him why I should believe anything he says at this point. He lied to me for months. He lied to his family. He lied about the lies when I caught him. Why would this be any different? I told him I wanted my money back. All of it. He started going on about how he doesn't have it, how he spent it on bills and the trip, how he can't just pull $4,000 out of nowhere. I told him that sounds like a him problem, not a me problem. I told him to figure it out or I would start telling everyone exactly what he did. His coworkers, his friends, anyone who would listen. I told him I have screenshots of everything, and I'm not afraid to use them. He called me a psycho and hung up. 15 minutes later, Nancy called me again. This time her tone was completely different. She sounded tired, and maybe a little bit embarrassed. She said she had confronted Stefan with the screenshots I sent, and he had tried to explain them away at first, but eventually admitted that yes, we had technically still been dating, but he said it was complicated and I was making it sound worse than it was. I asked Nancy what exactly is complicated about cheating on your girlfriend while telling your family she's your crazy ex? She said she didn't want to get in the middle of our relationship issues, but she felt like she owed me an apology for what she said at the beginning of the call. She said she was only going off what Stefan told her, and clearly he hadn't been completely honest. She said she still didn't understand why he would do something like this. She asked me what I wanted from Stefan, and I was honest with her. I told her I wanted my money back. I told her I wanted him to admit what he did to everyone he lied to, and I told her I wanted to know why. That's all. Just an honest explanation for why he destroyed our relationship like this. Nancy said she would talk to him. She said she couldn't make any promises, but she would try to get him to at least return the money since that was clearly wrong. I thanked her, even though I wasn't really sure she would follow through. About 2 hours after that, Stefan showed up at my apartment building. I didn't buzz him in, but he must have waited for someone to come out and slip through, because the next thing I knew he was knocking on my door again. Same as before, but this time more aggressive, more demanding. I opened the door but left the chain on so it only opened a few inches. Told him whatever he had to say he could say through the crack. He was pacing in the hallway all worked up. He started going off about how I went to his mom behind his back, how I made him look like a monster, how his family is looking at him differently now because of what I told them. He said his sister called him from Sweden just to yell at him. He said Carl texted him calling him a piece of trash. And I just stood there behind my chain lock, looking at this man I used to love throwing a tantrum because his actions finally caught up to him. I told him, that's not my problem. I told him I didn't make him look like anything. He did that all by himself when he decided to lie to everyone. I'm just the one who told the truth. He said he made a mistake, a huge mistake. He said he didn't know why he did what he did in Sweden. That something just came over him, and he got caught up in everything. He said he never meant to hurt me. He said he still loved me. I asked him how he could say that after everything. After the videos, the lies, the way he treated me. How is that love? He said he knew he messed up. He said he would do anything to fix it. He said he would pay me back all $4,000. He would find a way. He said he would tell everyone the truth about what happened. He said he would go to therapy, work on himself, become the person I deserved. He said, just please don't give up on us. Please give me one more chance. 3 years ago, I would have melted at that. A year ago, I probably would have considered it. Even a month ago, some part of me might have been tempted to believe him because I loved him that much. I told him it was too late. I told him I didn't believe a single word coming out of his mouth anymore. And even if I did, what he did wasn't something you come back from. It wasn't one mistake. It was months of deliberate, calculated lying. It was taking my money while calling me crazy to his family. It was telling his mom I was bribing him to stay in contact while I thought I was helping my struggling boyfriend. It was making out with multiple women on camera like I didn't even exist. He tried to interrupt, but I wasn't done. I told him I talked to Belinda. I told him I know exactly what he was saying about me at the wedding. That I was controlling. That I was jealous. That I made his life miserable. I told him he doesn't get to spend months destroying my reputation to his family, and then stand here begging me to take him back. I told him to go home. I told him to talk to his mom about paying me back because she seemed more reasonable than he is. I told him not to come here again. He stood there for a while longer, sniffing and wiping his face. Then he asked if there was really no chance. Nothing he could do. I closed the door in his face. But something Stefan said kept bothering me. When he was listing off all the people who were mad at him now, he mentioned his sister calling to yell at him. His sister who just got married. His sister, whose wedding this whole trip was supposed to be about. And I started thinking about how all this drama must have affected her special day. So this morning I did something that's either really brave or really stupid. I found Stefan's sister on Instagram. Her name is Marianne. I'd met her a few times over the years, and she always seemed nice enough. I sent her a DM saying I was sorry if any of this drama affected her wedding, and I just wanted her to know I had no idea what Stefan was doing until after it was over. She actually responded like an hour later, which surprised me because I figured she'd be too busy with post-wedding stuff, or just wouldn't want to deal with her brother's mess. But she wrote me back this whole long message. And okay, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what she said because it doesn't fully make sense yet, but basically Stefan was acting weird the entire trip. Not like happy single guy weird, like guilty weird. Like something was eating him alive weird. She told me some stuff he said at the wedding that I really need to process before I share it here. I don't even know what to do with this information, honestly. I'm going to try to sleep on this and figure out my next move. Connie keeps texting me asking what Marian said. And I keep typing responses and then deleting them because I don't even know how to explain it. Will update when my brain stops spinning. Last update. Okay, so I left off saying Marian wrote me back. And honestly, I've been sitting here for like 2 hours trying to figure out how to even type this because I'm still pissed and confused and just tired of this whole situation. So Marianne wasn't mad at me at all. She actually said she felt bad because she knew something was off with Stefan the whole trip, but didn't say anything. Like, thanks girl. That would have been helpful information before I had to find out my boyfriend was a whole different person from his brother's TikTok. She told me Stefan was acting weird since he landed in Sweden. Not happy single guy energy, more like someone running from something. At the rehearsal dinner he apparently got wasted and started going on about how he was going to lose everything, how he messed up too badly to fix it, how he didn't deserve to be happy. She thought he was just being drunk and dramatic, so she ignored it. But here's the part that made me want to scream. At the wedding reception, before all the partying and the girls and the body shots, Stefan pulled Marianne aside and asked her if she thought people could change. If someone did something unforgivable, could they ever come back from it? She said he seemed genuinely scared. She told him, yeah, of course people can change. And he said he didn't think he could face me again after what he'd done. This was before I knew anything. Before Belinda texted me. Before the videos. He was already spiraling with guilt while simultaneously making out with random Swedish girls and telling everyone I was his psycho ex-girlfriend. The audacity of this man to feel guilty and then just keep doing it anyway. So yeah, I texted him. Told him I wanted to meet one last time. He agreed way too fast, which honestly just annoyed me more. We met at this park near my place because like hell was I letting him in my apartment ever again. I told him what Marian said about the rehearsal dinner, about the wedding, about him asking if unforgivable things could be forgiven before I even knew there was anything to forgive. He put his head in his hands and just sat there. Good. Sit there and feel terrible. You deserve it. When he finally looked up he started talking. And I swear to God, if this is another round of excuses I'm going to lose it. But it wasn't excuses exactly. It was worse. He said it started 6 months ago. He said he felt like our relationship was moving too fast. That he wasn't ready for the future I kept talking about even though he kept saying he was. He said every time I mentioned moving in together or getting a dog or our anniversary he felt trapped. And instead of just telling me like a normal human being, he started pulling away while pretending everything was fine. I asked him why he didn't just talk to me. We could have slowed down. I'm not a monster. He knows I would have listened. And he said, yeah, he knew that. That was the worst part. He knew I would understand, but he was too much of a coward to have the conversation. So instead he started testing boundaries, seeing what he could get away with, telling small lies to his family to see if the world would end. Didn't, so the lies got bigger. Testing boundaries like I'm some kind of experiment. Like our 3-year relationship was just a game to see how much he could get away with. He said by the time he told everyone we broke up, he had basically convinced himself it was true. That we were already over in his head, even if not in reality. He said taking my money made him feel guilty. So he told his mom that story about me bribing him because it made him feel less terrible about taking it. Oh, so you lied about me to make yourself feel better about stealing from me. Cool. That's great. I'm so glad your feelings were protected while you were destroying my life in Sweden. I made him tell me about Sweden. He said he went there planning to be faithful, planning to. Like he deserves a medal for intending to not cheat on his girlfriend. He said he thought being away would help him figure out what he wanted. But then everyone was treating him like a single guy. And it was just so easy to be that person, to not think about me, to just exist without the guilt for a while. Exist without the guilt. Exist without the guilt. While I was home paying his bills and telling my parents about our future and planning our anniversary trip, he was in Sweden existing without the guilt of being a lying, cheating piece of garbage. I asked him if he even thought about me once when he wasn't FaceTiming me. He said yes. He said he thought about me all the time. He said every time he FaceTimed me, he felt sick afterward. But he kept doing it because he wasn't ready to lose me completely. He wanted to keep me as an option while also living like I didn't exist. An option. 3 years together, plans for a future. And I was an option he was keeping in his back pocket while he lived his best single life. He wanted everything. The girlfriend at home paying his bills, the freedom abroad to do whatever he wanted. He built an entire fake reality where I was the villain so he could feel like the hero. Poor Stefan, trapped by his crazy, controlling girlfriend, finally free to live his life. Meanwhile, crazy, controlling girlfriend is home paying his car insurance. I asked about the money. He said his mom is making him pay it back. Apparently, Nancy was so horrified when she understood the full picture that she told him she'd help him get a loan if he couldn't come up with it himself. She told him she didn't raise a thief or a liar. At least someone in that family has some damn principles. He showed me a Venmo notification, $2,000. Said the rest would come next week. I took the money because it's mine. Didn't say thank you because why would I thank someone for returning what they stole from me? We sat there for a while. It was getting dark and cold, and I wanted to go home. But I also wanted him to feel as uncomfortable as possible, so I just let the silence stretch. He asked if I hated him. And you know what? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to scream, "Yes, I hate you. You ruined everything. You made me feel like an idiot." But honestly, hate takes energy. Hate means I still care enough to feel something that's strong. And sitting there looking at this pathetic man who threw away 3 years because he was too scared to have one honest conversation with me, I just felt nothing. Not hate, not love. Just done. I told him I don't forgive him. What he did wasn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to text back. A mistake is being late to dinner. This was a choice he made over and over for months. Every lie was a choice. Every dollar he took was a choice. Every girl in Sweden was a choice. He doesn't get to call that a mistake. I got up and left. Walked home in the cold and didn't look back. The rest of the money came through yesterday. $4,000 back in my account. Doesn't fix anything, but at least I'm not broke and heartbroken. Stefan texted once more saying he was sorry, and he understood if I never wanted to hear from him again. I left him on read. What else is there to say? I'm done trying to understand him. Some people are just selfish garbage humans who don't care who they hurt. Stefan is one of those people. I spent 3 years loving a version of him that apparently never existed. Anyway, that's it. That's the whole mess. Have any of you ever had someone you trusted completely turn out to be a total stranger? What would you have done in my shoes? Tell me what you think in the comments, I really want to know.